Howdy, and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today we're going to be looking at a Revell kit from 1966. This is actually from Revell of Great Britain. The Revell 172nd line that came out in the mid-60s through the late 60s. Most of them originated from the United States, but a few of the models in that line originated actually from Revell of Great Britain and then were brought over to the U.S. So that's what this one is. So the original version of this was from 1965, and this is the PZL P.11c. It's a Polish World War II fighter. It's in 1/72nd scale. Kit number is H647, and we've got box art by Jack Lenwood. The original box art on this kit when it was first issued in Great Britain was by Brian Knight. When it was issued then in the United States, Jack Lenwood made some new art for it, and then that ended up going back to Great Britain, and they utilized it for their next issue of the kit. So the PZL P11 is a little bit of an obscure aircraft. It's utilized by the Polish Air Force, and a few of them were also used by the Romanian Air Force. A couple of captured ones were utilized by the Germans for a short while just for testing, but they weren't used for any significant purpose like some of the other captured aircraft that they had a little bit later in the war. But the original design began in 1930 and was based off of a previous design that was fairly similar called the PZL P7. It had a high-mounted clean gull wing, which gave it quite a bit of speed for the early 30s. The first flight was in August of 1931, and at the time it was considered to be the most advanced fighter in the world. And almost everybody else was still flying biplanes, so having a monoplane, even though this is a high-wing monoplane with still fixed gear and bracing struts, it was still more advanced than everything else that was out there. It was all metal construction, with the exception of fabric-covered control surfaces. Some of the metal was corrugated on the wings and tail surfaces. The first 50 of the P11c were equipped with Bristol Mercury 5 S2s with 600 horsepower, and the remaining group of the first 150 were equipped with a later version, Mercury 6 with a 630 horsepower engine. So the P11C started reaching squadron services in late 35. A total of 150 were built. Maximum speed on it was about 240 miles an hour at 16,000 feet. They had two fuselage machine guns, a standard fit WZ-33, 7.92 millimeter, and they were equipped with 500 rounds per gun. At some point, they were then retrofitted with two wing guns with 300 rounds per gun. As I mentioned before, Romania also had some. They ordered 50 directly from Poland, and they were equipped with no Marone engines, the 9 KRSD Mistrals of 595 horsepower, and then eventually they ended up acquiring a license and built an additional 95, which were considered P11Fs. So there was a replacement that was in development, the PZL 50. That was delayed considerably and was not able to get into service before the German invasion in September of 1939. So they had ordered a bunch of foreign aircraft, 120 French Marin Saulniers, MS-406s, 14 Hurricanes, Hawker Hurricanes, and 100 Ferry Battles, but none of those arrived before the September 1st fight. So when the war started on September 1st, there was a total of 109 PZL-11Cs, 20 P11As, and 30 P7s still left. 43 additional P11Cs were in reserve or in some form of repair, and about a third of the PZL P.11cs had the 4 guns. They equipped 12 escadras, which is equivalent to an escadrille. They had 10 aircraft each, and 2 escadras made a division, which would be considered a squadron. Altogether, they ended up claiming 285 Luftwaffe aircraft. I'm sorry, out of the total of 285 aircraft claimed by the Polish during the initial part of the war, 110 were credited to P-11s, and a total of 100 P-11s were lost, so about a 1-to-1 ratio. Even though this was the most advanced fighter in the world when it came out, things quickly changed over the course of the 30s, and this aircraft was very much outclassed by Bf-109s and even Bf-110s. And of course, Spitfires and Hurricanes were superior to it as well too. So the Poles were left in a very bad situation with this aircraft. And so, as an added interesting note, the first plane shot down for World War II is considered to be one flown on 1 September by a Captain Medwicki. He was shot down by Rotenführer Lieutenant Frank Nerbert from 1 STG-2. And about 20 minutes later, his wingman shot down a Ju-87. So that was Vladislav Guinness. And that's considered to be the first German loss in aircraft. And so that's a little bit about the PZL P-11. If you're not familiar with it, I wasn't all that familiar with it, so it was a good little history lesson for me. So let's take a look at the kit. We've got great artwork on the cover here, as mentioned, of course, from Jack Linwood. It's even got a Linwood signature on here. It's being shown shooting down, looks like a Do-17Z, which was the next aircraft that was shot down after the Ju-87. Supposedly, they shot down a couple of Tu-17s afterwards. We've got a price tag here of $3.80, which is probably a much later price for this kit from when it was issued originally. And on the side here, we've got a couple other aircraft in the 172nd scale line, Wildcat, Air Cobra, and Hayabusa. On this side, we've got a little bit of information about the aircraft itself, some details about the kit. Copyright 1966. This is carrying the Revell copyright on this side. But on the end, you've got the Revell of Great Britain information on here. And you've got your kit number here. Repeat at the top. Same thing on this side, H647. Nothing on the bottom. And the box is printed directly onto the cardstock, as opposed to the wraparound that you would see on some of the Revell kits around this time. And let's take a look inside. So we've got instruction sheets, or sheet, with instructions in many languages. Color call-outs, interesting choice of symbols for color call-outs, and step-by-step instruction going by letters instead of numbers. Flip it over, we've got the rest of the construction here showing you all the points to glue. And then finally we've got a foreview of the aircraft showing you how to paint it. And again, Revell Great Britain for the printing. It does show you putting the Czech marking, the Polish marking on the top. I did notice in a lot of the photographs during the war that this top marking seemed to be painted out on the top of the wing. So I don't know if that was for camouflaging purposes, but most of the ones would appear to be wartime photographs. That top marking is gone. So here are the decals, and Get a nice little set of decals. These will be yellowed a bit over the year. Nothing on the back. And then you do have the kit number matching down here. So this is actually for a specific aircraft. This is for a 111 Escadra. And this was constructor number 8121, which is represented on here as well. And a coating of a white 3, which is kind of hard to see on here. And then N142. This is the squadron badge for 111 Escadra. So I wasn't able to find a photograph of this exact aircraft. I was able to find a few pictures of some aircraft from the same squadron. So I'll show you what those look like here. Okay, so now we'll take a look at the kit itself. So we got our first tree here. Quite a bit of flash on the end here. Got nice representation of the corrugation on the tail. And the fuselage has very fine rivet detail and panel lining. There's your fuselage machine gun. I think this is like an oil cooler on the side. So pretty delicate detail being done there. There's your Mercury engine. And your landing gear struts. And that looks like about it for your cockpit detail. Just sits on this little stub there. There's nothing on the inside. You do have kit numbers on the tree, which helps out. And let's look at the other side. So here's the other fuselage half. Again, nice fine corrugation. Some pretty delicate panel lining and riveting. Got a propeller, not too bad. Need a little bit of cleanup. There's some flash on there. Some more strutting. This is an exhaust collector ring. And here we've got the flying surfaces. We've got your wing with some nice corrugation again. This is going to be real fun for getting a decal to lay down on these wings here. And here's the underside, looks good. This one does have the wing-mounted machine guns. There are a couple of ejector pin marks on the bottom here, which are going to be a little challenge to clean up on the corrugation. And then we've got our tail, corrugated again. And our main struts, tail skid. There's our little pilot figure. He's all right. Got little stubby feet there. And here's one of the wheels, and I believe that's the shaft, the prop shaft on there. And then we've got one clear tree, which has this itty bitty little tiny windscreen. Giant tree for one itty bitty little part, but I guess that keeps it from being lost. So that's about it for the kit. Not too much to these little 72nd scale jobs. As I mentioned earlier, the initial release of this kit was 1965 with Revell of Great Britain. Original box art was done by Brian Knight. And then 66 is when Revell US issued it with this revised Jack Lenwood artwork. And then in 66, Revell Great Britain also issued it with this artwork as well. In 66, it was also then issued by Revell Keycoller, which is Revell in Britain or Brazil. Revell Japan issued one in 66 as well. Sometime in the 60s, Revell Great Britain issued a bagged version utilizing the original Brian Knight artwork. And the final issue that I could see was 1977 by Revell Takara with all new artwork. And then finally there was one combo issue with this kit. Revell did these three kits in one box series, and the PZL was included in one called the Freedom Fighters, 3 Freedom Fighters, which also included a Chinese Polikarpov, I think that's how you say it, I-16, a Swedish Fiat CR42, and then this PZL, and the same markings that you see on here. So that's about it. If you've built one of these, let us know about it in the comment section. If you got one of these still sitting on your shelves, take a picture of it and send it in for the next viewer build videos. We're getting some really neat photographs of other people's builds. So if you want to get on the next one, send one in pretty soon so we can get you in on the next viewer build video. Well, thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.